Well, hello again. Today I'd like to explain to you um, the link of death in the 12 links of dependent origination. Previously, I've explained the links on clinging and craving and becoming by means of the 8 worldly dharmas: hope for happiness, fear of suffering, hope for fame, and fear of insignificance, hope for praise and fear of blame, and hope for gain and fear of loss. So these are basically attachment and aversion and manifestations of the ego, the I, the me. And it is attachment to reputation in relation to the outer world, friends, family, and so on. So these 8 worldly dharmas are the essence of craving and clinging. And through this craving and clinging, there is becoming, and becoming is the creation of a negative and positive karma. So that's important to understand. Craving, clinging, and becoming are the essence of our daily life. These are the priorities of our daily life. These are the wishes and the fears of our daily life. It is the motor of everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel, craving, clinging, and becoming. And this is all related to the outside world. It's all related to a self-image. It is all related to a not understanding. It's related to an ignorance of what we are doing. We are performing, grasping, and clinging in a circle of constant, complicated circle of dependent origination. In other words, we are victims, we are conditioned, we are followers of our habitual tendencies that are stored in our consciousness, the alaya vijnana, the storehouse consciousness. The experiences of all our action, the results and behavior of all our actions through in this life and previous lives. This has created enormous storehouse in our consciousness of behavioral tendencies as a reaction on what happens in the outside world. So this is another meaning of dependent origination. So we live our life in dependency and conditioned reactions, and we think this is me, this is I, this is my importance, this is my value, or this is my nihilism, or my suffering, or my pain. And this is expressed in the 8 worldly dharmas. So it's a complete chaos and running around in conditioned existence by feelings, mental formations, experiences. And we think we call this true life, but in essence, it's a fake life, because it is cause and effect, coming and going, arising and disappearing, and we grasp at it if it is true. And this is not the case. So that's why we have suffering, and that's why we have relative happiness in a constant change. And this is the suffering of conditioned phenomena. It is the suffering of constant change, and it is the suffering, the obvious suffering that we experience consciously. The 3 kinds of suffering, as Buddha explained in the first and second noble truth. This is not our life. This is an imagined life. And that's why Buddha explained how it comes into being. this dependent origination. And the cause is ignorance, not understanding this process. So this is explained before in samsara and in the 12 links of dependent origination and in the 8th world preoccupations. And now I will explain, so this is the first and the second part of the 12 links, and craving, clinging, becoming, feeling and contact are the four of the 8 in the worldly existence, becoming included. And now we are talking about death. And this is done in the text by means of explaining the bardo. And bardo, as you know, probably means in between. So bardo is the in-between state. In between what? Well, this life, for instance, is a bardo. The life we are living now is a bardo because it is in between the previous lives and it is in between the life to come. But also sleep is a bardo because it is an unconscious state of several hours in between the day before and the day to come. And meditation is also called a bardo because it is in between the samsaric life, the samsaric existence I've just explained, and the state of enlightenment, the state of wisdom, the state of bliss and happiness, which is our Buddha nature. So meditation is also in between samsara and enlightenment, so to speak. And then there is the bardo between this life, in between this life and next life. And this bardo arises at the moment that our physical body, I will just explain the headlines of the structure of the bardo philosophy, because the topic is too large, too complicated to explain here. So just outlines, because it is in the relation to the 12 links of dependent origination, death. So at the moment of death is what we call in the West when the physical body dies and falls apart. And this has a certain order, how the elements dissolve, and with all the experiences and visualizations, how the mental, how the emotional and physical functions deteriorate. And here it depends also on wisdom. If we have understood our lives well, then the moment of death of the physical body is understood in the mental process. If we do not understand samsara, then the physical death is a moment of great confusion, because we are not understanding falling apart and deteriorating of all experiences, just like these tulips. So moment of death means falling apart, deteriorating of the body and the elements. But the mind and consciousness is not dying. This mind and consciousness are two aspects of the same nature. The mind is the pure nature, and the consciousness is the samsaric state of mind, so to speak. With all the kinds of suffering and ignorance that I've explained to you several times now. So this is called consciousness. So the impure, wanted consciousness and the pure mind, there are two in one, but different qualities. And this state arises when the body disappears or falls apart. And there's the black experience, which is the nearly attainment, where the consciousness disappears and dissolves in a state of black feeling. And immediately after that arises the clear state of mind, the clear luminosity of the original pure nature of the mind. And this is just arising of the impure consciousness and the pure state of light in the appearance of black, nearly attained, and the white clarity, clear state, luminosity of the mind. And these are just like a flash of lightning. If you are not used to it by meditation and by wisdom and by understanding the nature, the real nature and the relative nature of our mind and consciousness. If you are not familiar with that, then we will not recognize it. And then these two experiences of black and unconsciousness and luminosity at the moment of death, which is the clear, the enlightened mind, they disappear and arise and disappear within a fraction, like lightning in the dark, something like that. And then there are three other stages. This is the stage which is called the bardo at the moment of the death, of dying. And this is called the Chikai bardo. And in this Chikai bardo, one is not experienced, and one is not used to be aware of impermanence and arising and disappearing. So what happens is, how to say, is recognizing or not recognizing the appearances at the moment of death. And after this Chikai bardo, then there is the next bardo, I think, which is the Chenit bardo. And the Chenit bardo is also called the bardo of experiences, or the bardo of appearances. I think appearances is better. And what is appearing? And this is where the relationship with the 12 links of dependent origination is very clear. The bardo of Dharmata, or the Chenit bardo, is the arising of appearances, which are in fact creations or fantasies or phantoms. Maybe phantoms is better, or delusions or fitments that are stored in our impure mind, which is the consciousness. In other words, all the karmic impressions, be it which are created in this life, on craving, clinging, and becoming, all the virtuous and non-virtuous karmic results are stored in the storehouse consciousness, the alaya vijnana. And because there is no body, because there are no friends, and there are no relationships, partners, there are no possessions, there is no sensory world around us that we are used to in the previous life, because we are not connected to the body and relationships and possessions. We are completely on our own. So there's no distraction. And we experience this as the moment that we are really consciousness, oh, I have died. My body is not here anymore. I see my friends and my enemies. I see my possessions. I see my loved ones. And they are talking about me. But they do not miss me, or they are crying because they miss me. And I try to communicate with them. But they can't hear me. So, and whatever I try to communicate, they can't hear me or feel me. There's no connection whatsoever anymore, because it was just dependent origination. So this also causes all kinds of anger or frustration or loneliness or fear or disappointment of being left alone by the things and persons in previous lives. And now I slowly become aware that I have to leave this body and to leave the world that I was used to live in. With everything included, it is no longer there. So that's why all the karmic formations built in by craving and clinging and becoming, all the virtuous and non-virtuous karmic results stored in the alaya vijnana, the storehouse consciousness, now manifest themselves in the journeyed bardo as the bardo of reality, or the bardo of experiences, of the bardo of appearances. In other words, they are now without any hindrance arising in me, in the mental, physical body, so to speak, in the bardo. They arise in me freely, without any control. And this is called the bardo of appearances, which in essence are the appearances of a wholesome and peaceful karma, and are unwholesome and negative and non-virtuous karma. So it is written in the texts that first arise all the peaceful appearances, which in essence are all the wholesome karmic effects that are now arise from my alaya vijnana. And after that, when I connect them to them, then it might be the chance to liberation, to continue in this wholesome state of mind. But if I do not recognize them as projections, as phantoms of my subconsciousness, my alaya vijnana, then wrathful appearances arise in the form of demons and terrifying beings, which in essence are projections of our hatred, our anger, our irritations, our frustrations, our fears, our resistance, our fighting, and so on, which are caused by negative karma and which causes negative karma in the previous life. And now they arise as an inner storehouse of positive and negative virtues and non-virtuous tendencies. They arise as peaceful tendencies or peaceful deities, or they arise in terrifying appearances. But it is important to understand that these are nothing else than phantoms, projections, delusions stored in my storehouse consciousness and now coming into freedom without any hindrance. And this signifies the importance of, in our daily life, to be in control of our negative karma, to be aware of it, or the creation of negative karma, and to change that into wholesome karmic actions. In other words, we change the demons, the terrifying forces in ourselves. We recognize them, acknowledge them, and because of our wisdom and not of that they are not really existing, and because they create suffering, because of that, it is a wise thing to do in our life with the body and friends and so on, to create wholesome actions. Because then, in that way, we control our mind or our consciousness in its negativities and in its creation into something wholesome. And this is important because it is the input for a peaceful existence, a peaceful state of mind in the bardo, or not a peaceful state in the bardo, or a mixture. So the essence, the significance of the bardo philosophy is that what we create in our daily life will be manifested in the bardo. So here we have the choice to be independent from the bardo and what experiences they are, because I've trained and learned and understood and transformed the things that I'm not in control of into something wholesome and beneficial. So the less craving, the less clinging, the less becoming in negative way in this present daily life, the more peaceful the bardo appearances will be. And even in this stage of the bardo, it will be possible to liberate oneself from the bardo, to leave the bardo, and to enter the enlightened state of the mind, which we can have been creating in this present life through meditation, for instance. So through positive karma and through meditation in connection with the enlightened mind, these two give us the option in the bardo to reach enlightenment, to leave the bardo. Or if not, then we have to continue. And the next state of the bardo, then if we are not able to liberate ourselves, as explained, then the next bardo, the final bardo, is the Sitpa bardo. And the Sitpa bardo, to explain, is the bardo where we are on the way to rebirth, a physical rebirth. And as you know, that the two first two links of dependent origination are ignorance and formation. So if you were too ignorant, or if the formations of non-virtuous and virtuous actions in this life and previous lives are too strong, then through the Sitpa bardo, we have great attraction, great attachment to a great desire, or great craving and clinging, so to speak, a strong feeling, strong craving, strong clinging out of ignorance to a new life. And that means a new physical body. And then, therefore, the bardo being in the Sitpa bardo is out of clinging and craving, attachment and aversion, and of positive and negative karmic impacts, is trying to find a father and mother and a situation in a new life. So craving and clinging and becoming is here the attraction to a new life. And if we find a father and not father, a woman and a man that feels good, gives a good feeling, then I can enter and I see this man and woman into sexual union, then and I have a good attraction, a good feeling, good attachment to this new life, then, or to this father and to this man and woman, then I enter at the moment of sexual intercourse between those two, and this is called formation. You remember the first two links is ignorance and formation is the attraction to a new life, to new parents, not very rational attraction, but an emotional, ignorant attraction out of karma. So we are not choosing deliberately on wise decisions. We are dominated by a craving and clinging to this man and woman. Unconsciously, almost. So the moment that this my conscious and my mind and conscious enters the womb, where the red substance of the woman and the white substance of the father are coming together, this is called birth. And you remember this from the second part of the 12 links, formation. On basis of virtuous and non-virtuous and ignorant actions, state of mind, we enter the womb, and this is called birth. That's the two links that come from the previous lives and now are entering a new life. And then the whole cycle of the 12 links of dependent origination, as explained several times, continues in a new life. I'm not going to explain that, but this should be clear now. So in this sit by Bardo, it is also possible to liberate oneself from rebirth. One might say, if I have the wisdom, I've developed wisdom and compassion and loving kindness towards other beings and towards myself, and I have been able through meditation and through wisdom and through practice virtuous deeds, then it is more easy to relate to the enlightened mind, the pure enlightened mind inside of every being. So not the impure karmic consciousness, but the pure state of mind, if you remember. If I'm used and to connect with it in this life, through meditation, through studies, through practice, then I can recognize before the strong clinging and craving comes to the new body and new life, then I'm able to decide for myself, no, I don't want to enter samsara again. I want to be liberated from samsara. So I enter into the enlightened state of mind that is present in me and that the teachers have explained to me, that I've been meditating on, that I've been abiding in, tried to be. So in this previous life or in this life, I have trained myself to abide through samatha and through wisdom and through compassion, and to abide in the luminous emptiness of the mind, the clarity and the emptiness, the wisdom and the emptiness together. If I'm trained in that in this life, then suppose I would be attracted to a new life in the Bardo, then at that moment I can be aware of it. Oh, I'm now at the edge of entering samsara, 12 links of dependent origination. I don't want to be that. I want to be liberated from that. And then I can take my refuge to the luminous emptiness, to the luminosity and the clarity and the emptiness and the clarity and the loving, compassionate wisdom mind of the Buddha nature, or the pure mind. Then I can attain liberation even just before entering the womb. So there are several possibilities to, in the Bardo, to experience the whole of reality, positive and negative, frightful and peaceful. And in every situation or experience, I'm able to choose. But it is dependent on the amount of training and wisdom and compassion that and virtuous karma that I've created in this life, this physical life. So again, the whole essence and meaning and significance of the Bardo experience is a reflection of the karmic virtues and non-virtues and the wisdom and ignorant state of mind in this life, and to make a difference between these two. So the Bardo experience are a mirror of how I've lived my life and trained my life to liberate myself from samsara, 12 links of dependent origination. And even finally, one can make the obvious decision, although it is samsara, although it is again entering the 12 links of dependent origination, I still want to enter into samsara because out of compassion, like the Buddha's ultimate quality of loving kindness and compassion, like the bodhisattvas do. With this motivation, out of love and wisdom and compassion, I want to enter into samsara, and then I will try to develop more and more compassion and to be in active state of mind for those beings who are in suffering. So this is the Mahayana motivation. Everything that I do in this life is aimed at the benefit and the benefit and the compassion for other beings. So the motivation, in other words, to enter the womb conscious with great wisdom and compassion is also the motivation for returning into samsara. So here the motivation is not ignorance and all karmic craving and clinging negative things, but here the motivation is ultimate love and compassion out of wisdom and compassion as trained in the previous physical life. So also here it signifies in this life, this physical life, to be able to help and develop compassion and love for as many sentient beings as possible. If I've trained in that through wisdom and compassion and love, can be a motivation for to enter the next life with the full understanding and the full motivation of the motives. So, and then the birth that is already described, name and form and six sense basis and contact in the previous meetings. So, thank you. I hope that is clear to you and that it might be for you helpful or supportive for the quality of your life and the meaning, living a meaningful life. Wish you all the best. It's good luck, success, and I will come back later to you with the topic of meditation and liberation in the 12 links of dependent origination.